Welcome to the Erdos Miller New Technology Podcast. I'm David Erdos.
And I'm Zach Gaston, filling in for Ken Miller.
Today's episode is sponsored by Gibson Reports.
That's me, GibsonReports.com, your only directional drilling market share report, and soon to be also regulatory automated filing. So, like I said, be sure to check us out on LinkedIn. Also watch the Vidor Locksmith show, hashtag Vidor Locksmith on LinkedIn, and GibsonReports.com. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Of course.
Of course. Thanks for coming. Today, we're going to be talking about trade shows.
Yeah, I kind of brought up this topic today. I brought it today with me down from Canada. But what I want to know is, are trade shows still relevant in our industry? I mean, we still have trade shows, large ones, small ones, regional ones, world ones. I mean, do you think it's still relevant? And, having David here in the office was a good opportunity for us to kind of pick his brain as well as another person who's pretty active in marketing as well. So, I mean, what do you think, David?
It's definitely one of those things to where you have to be able to weigh out the success of the potential success of the show and the time commitment allotted to it. One of the things I always look at before I even because, Gibson Reports is so small, we have no reason to set up a booth or anything. Before I even decide to go attend a show, I'm looking at, who's going to be there to begin with, right? Are my potential customers there, right? Are there people there that are going to be kind of like, I like to say, sitting ducks at conference shows? It's like, I'm going to go sell you, so you're going to be kind of trapped in your little yard or domain of a 10 by 10 box. Can I go know that somebody's going to be there, man in the booth, and I can go pitch my product to you? In just saying that, you realize that I'm attending this thing to go sell to the people that are hopefully there to sell to other people that happen to go in and go, I want to learn something new, right? And so you kind of get the reverse. It's like, if you want to be sold to, there's probably a good chance you should set up a booth and, you're looking for new vendors or things like that, or you're trying to get the general word out. But I think for the most part, the success of having a client come stop by, especially in our industry, right? Very specific to the niche oil field services and things like that. Having somebody walk by that's actually going to be a potential customer, I think, is very, very rare. But now if we moved into let's say the fitness business, right? Where a potential client is every person that walks past you, right?
Yeah.
If you're a personal trainer and you go set up a booth or something, that's a phenomenal idea, because you could sell to the people next to you, sell to people behind you, anybody that happens to be there, even if they're just janitorial people that are they're cleaning up afterwards. You'd be like, hey, I'm a personal trainer. Let's get you set up. You're that's one of those things where it depends upon your business strategy, who your target market is. I think for oil field services, unless it's a very concentrated, it's a very specific event, it's not really worth setting up a booth. It's really not. Now, if it's a small niche market, we did the IADD MWD event in June, there it was just a certain group of companies. It's not OTC where you could have MWD next to somebody who's selling nuts and bolts. Literally, they're selling nuts and bolts, and then
or rope or something.
Or then the person that's down next to them is selling light fixtures or car insurance or something, because OTC is just flooded with noise. If it's really concentrated, then I think that point in time, because I don't know what the principle is, but it's the whole thing where O'Reilly's and AutoZone are always next to each other. I don't know what it's called, but there's some kind of
same with CVS and Walgreens. I don't know what it's called, but they always
you always see them right next to each other. So I think same thing works, is where if there's a whole bunch of a single type of service company or manufacturer of a product that are all next to each other, then it's going to bring out the customers of that, because then it's okay, now all of the people that I want to meet with or have conversations with are all boom, right there with each other. And so then that allows them to be able to, save time instead of having, 5 meetings an hour long each day throughout the week. They could go spend one day in 5 hours and hit all of the people that they need to have conversations with. So it really, really just depends on the event. But I think for the most part, the cost associated, the time that personnel are away from work, and the lack of people actually following up with all of the business cards and leads and stuff that they get, it's like if you don't get something killer, I think a lot of people just like, okay, well, yeah, we'll follow up. We'll talk on Monday or something. And then like everybody goes back to work like they've been on vacation for a week.
Yeah.
You know, and so like they're trying to catch up for the time that they were away for the event, and then you're trying to follow up with new leads as well. It's a wash.
Oh, I'm so guilty of it too. You have like the 4 days at OTC, right? That's one of the biggest shows. We're in Houston. It's in Houston, so that's one that we go to. And Friday is almost like a total wash. I mean, you're following up, or you're just dead tired from standing in the booth for 40 plus hours, and then you have all the workload that was stacking up while you're at the show laying right there on your desk Friday morning when you wake up, and you're going, oh my gosh, how am I even going to get this done, where I need to follow up, but I also need to do the tasks from all that week.
And the people that are following up, like you're following up with somebody, but 40 other people at the show are also following up with the person that was at the show, right? Yeah. And so they're giving out like tons of emails. And from my experience, like if I give out my card at an event, I'm like, hey, yeah, and we had a conversation. If I don't see that person taking notes, I'm like, that was a wasted conversation, because you're not going to remember. I mean, let's be honest. Like I'm not, there's like, in a sea of people, they're not going to go, oh, that's David Gibson, right? It's one of those things where like you'll get towards the end of the conference or the end of the show, and you'll be like, we had a conversation on Tuesday with a guy that was talking to us about directional drilling market share. What else did we talk about with him? So you're trying to follow up, 100 other people are trying to follow up, and you're trying to catch up on your job, and you're trying to do all these other things. It's like it becomes a complete disaster. I will say this, if you do the shows and you take really good notes, which what I do is like, we'll have, for the last show I did, it was actually a partnership with you guys a while back. We had a notebook, and it was like, as soon as you get done with the conversation, you staple their business card into the notebook, and then you write all the notes right below it.
Yes.
And usually if you're having a conversation, you have a wing person whose their sole responsibility is just to listen and just remember what took place during the conversation, take notes, and then we go back and we're like, all right, this is what we talked about. This is this person. Like, you don't put the cards in your pocket. You either take a picture of them or you staple them to something so that you've got that history, that record of what took place. So I could talk about this forever. So
going back to your signal to noise ratio, what you were talking about, how there's so few people that are actually relevant for a given industry. I mean, I think what we've seen with OTC is that there's usually like one or two people that we meet that kind of make the show worth it.
Oh yeah, no, so you'll see hundreds of people go by the booth, right? Hundreds of conversations happen. There's a thick stack of cards come through about this big, and then through that, maybe one or two solid opportunities that come out of that
actually turn into a deal.
Yeah, that actually turn into a deal that we move forward with. Now, the deals make it worth going back to the show, but it is pretty cumbersome. Basically, there's 50,000 people that attend, 300 of which I've get business cards for, and then one or two out of the entire stack proceed forward. Doing the big shows and then also doing the smaller shows, the more, the micro brew, way of shows where you have
specialized.
Yeah, like the IDD event back in June. I mean, you basically have everyone in one spot. Like you say, it takes 5 hours to do. The entire logistics of setup, preparation, and teardown was all in a single day. And we still were able to hit just about every single attendee. So it's easier to maintain focus at a smaller event than it is the larger ones, because having focus for an entire week, when you're starting to get tired, when you're over caffeinated, day 3, day 4 comes around. Like, I don't know. I did appreciate having a shorter show. It made it less of like here we go, So.
And I think like you said there, like with the IDD event, it was very focused. We as being part of the organization or organizing it, like we knew who was going to attend. We had a very focused set, right? I think for companies that are doing things at OTC, that's when you're looking at your business development as like, we're trying to find people that we never would have thought of before. Like at OTC, you're obviously not hoping that a specific client comes by or that like a specific group comes by. You're just kind of going, I hope somebody from, Azerbaijan or somebody from China or somebody from Australia who's I've never heard of and they've never heard of me happens to walk by and goes, so what do you guys do here? And you give your little 1 minute elevator pitch and then they go, so wait, you do this? I've never heard of you guys before. And you're like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, we should do some work together. That's, because like you have so many of those conversations. Like it's just people walking by going, what do you guys do? What do you do? What do you do? And you just kind of do that back and forth. They're like, are we a match? Are we a match? No. Oh, it's like, it's almost like it's like speeding. It's like a little swipe thing. It's like if people would just walk by and be like, no, I don't need to talk to any of the, maybe this one. No. Maybe this one. Like if as people were like filing through, they would just get like, here are all your matching companies. Go visit these booths because these are the things you're looking for.
Here's an interesting idea.
Well, there you go. There's a new app for everybody out there. Like if you're an entrepreneur, go for it because I'll sign up.
Trade show Tinder.
Yeah, trade show Tinder.
What if you could merge the two ideas and OTC forced, instead of it being like this mixed bag of where people are positioned, you have like the MWD area of the center and the nuts and bolts area of the center and the rope area of the center, and then you kind of, you get the world feel. So you do get to reach out and meet those guys from all over the world that you would have never met. But instead of organizing by country, you organize by discipline. I don't know.
I completely agree with it. I know that the people who spend a lot of money on OTC would completely disagree because it's been around so long, and the way that it works is it's the seniority kind of thing.
Right,
it's like
right.
the sporting seats, or like you get the
Priority points is what they
it's
have,
something like
right?
that. But like what it is that they're looking at who's been doing it the longest, and then they get first priority of pick a location and stuff. So you're gonna have like the big companies getting the best quote unquote the best spots in the middle, in the main arena and stuff. That's why anytime I go, I'm always looking at the peripheral stuff. Right, I walk around the outside of the main area, right, and then I go outside and I go to the arena because that's where all the new companies are at. Because no new company is in the middle. Right. And none of those, like the guys that are in the middle that have the really nice spots, they've been around for years. They spent tons of money. They may have new technology that they're bringing out, but that's not who I'm looking for. Those aren't the companies that I'm looking to be able to talk to. So I think it would be great if they did that, at least if they had like at least some kind of like, rules of like, okay, this area is going to be this,
Maybe even optionally, you can choose to be in a.
Yeah. As I know they do like regional stuff. They'll be like, okay, this is like, but it's just like Germany will buy like an entire section.
Yeah.
Right.
And then like, China buys a big area and then they just sell out those little spots and stuff. So the organization of it would help tremendously if that were to take place. But I still think at the end of the day, you're not getting buyers at the event. You're not getting people who want to spend money at the event. I think it's become more of just a spectacle, and everybody's like, OTC's this week. Okay, this is the week to have meetings offsite. And everybody uses OTC as the excuse, and then like they go walk around. They're like, I didn't see anything, but I had like a lot of really good meetings before, after, or off-site. So there's still value there in that week, but in being present at the event and putting a booth on display, I don't think it's there.
So I know with giant events like GPS or OTC or AdaPac, right? There's always the side events or like the night events or something like that, where a company will get together and they'll say, okay, we'll do like a mixer or a rent out a bar.
Night or something.
Yeah, like a networking night. I think people kind of have it's a good way to kind of organize all the people that are at the show. I mean, it's more, obviously it's a little bit more casual, I would think, at some of these mixers. I missed your invite last year to the crawfish boil, fellas. So I don't know. I mean, have you been to these? Do you think it's a good place for business doing a kind of a networking event after or during the show or anything like that? It's kind of a supplement. I mean, everyone's gathered in one place, so make a tiny event of your own that's nearby.
I'll let you answer that one, David.
Okay. I've attended a handful of the events, and I think like what you're saying is what it does is one, if whoever's hosting the event, they're wanting their customers to show up, either their existing customers or potential customers to show up. And, that's going to give you better options as far as, the dollars that you're spending. And what you're doing is you're hoping that the big event brings in people and that, they go do whatever during the day, but then at night or even during one company does their big crawfish boil during the event.
Right.
And so I can see where those are very, very beneficial. And I think that there's probably a lot better return there than just being at the event itself. Like I said, that big of an event, you're just hoping to be able to run into somebody that you've never heard of, they've never heard of you, or people that may have heard of you that you haven't heard of, that they just saw that you're going to be there, that kind of thing. So
I think we've been talking a bit about whether it's worth attending a trade show as an exhibitor. What about as an attendee? I know from my experience, I've found it pretty valuable to be able to see kind of what's out there with the market, what people are making, and kind of make connections with technology that I wouldn't otherwise. Like, oh, look at what they're doing in this completely other field that could be relevant to my industry.
Yeah, I know that there's been times where I've attended events where my competitors had a booth, and I would just stand outside of their booth from a distance and then just watch who walked up and talk to them. And then when they walked away, if they were there for, long enough to actually look like a customer, then I go, hey man, I saw you talking to those guys. What do you do? I've got no problem doing that. I was like, there's nothing wrong with me being able to kind of come in and be a buzzard or whatnot at the event. So I think once again, it depends on who's got their stuff on display. What value can I get out of the event? What's the cost to go to the event? Because these are some of the big conference events, but then you also have other events where it's like an SP workshop or something where, there's maybe not a lot of booths or something. There might be 2, 3 or something, but then it's who else is attending this? Who else is going to be here listening and learning from it? And those are the ones where it's a lot more difficult to be able to figure out if I'm going to spend the money to go to, because some of them can be fairly pricey, but those are the ones where I'm like, okay, I have a pretty good idea that the 3 or 4 people that I would need to talk to are going to be there. Plus I get the chance to be able to learn something, right? Yeah, that's pretty key, is am I going to learn something or am I going to meet somebody? What am I going to get out of this at the end of the day?
Yeah. When you were telling me the example of you standing from a distance, peering at them, talking to their customers, I can only imagine you back there kind of making faces and trying to distract them. And
no, I'll make sure that whoever it is, if I'm trying to steal their clients or something, that they're not going to notice that I'm walking by or anything like that, or it was a couple of years ago that I did that for
put on fake mustache.
Yeah, fake mustache on top of the real one.
Yeah, something. I'll just say I did it. I had fun. And I had pretty good success with it. So, the thing is, be aware. Know that kind of stuff's happening. And if not, now and, plan accordingly,
Yeah.
So
one thing I try to do when I'm selecting a new show that I've never been to is go walk the show from the get-go, before I actually bother getting the trade show materials out and going and exhibiting. You can actually see the traffic. You can kind of get a feel for the conversations. Is it dead? Is it dragging? Is it only sales guys, us sales guys there at the show, or are there actual technical guys like David that are roaming around really just trying to learn something? So that's what I do before I select a show and propose that we spend our budget on going out to a new one. So that's kind of my secret.
What's always interesting is if you look at it, it's what events do operators attend? What events do operators put a booth at?
Yeah.
I've asked so many people in our industry, this is nobody knows, right? But then you go to NAPE. I've been to NAPE, and it's they've got their booths there, right? And then it's okay, who's at that booth, right? Those are some of the events that you kind of think outside of the box, where it's this isn't really about oil field services, right? This is about landman and stuff like that. But your client has a booth, EOG, XTO, Pioneer. These guys they paid for space to be there. One of the other ones is the IOG CC. It's Interstate Oil and Gas Commission Compact or something.
I haven't heard
right?
of that one.
It's for regulatory stuff, right? But I think one of the most recent ones, it was actually sponsored by EOG, right? Now it's probably the regulatory people, but there's probably also a lot of their C-level execs and higher level executives that are going to be at that event. So it's like, those are the things you need to start looking at. You got to open your eyes a little bit and go, okay, like OTC, no, the drilling engineers aren't taking the day off to go to that.
Yeah.
But would they be taking off to be able to go to some other things? So that's the thing. You got to be able to put yourself in the mind of your client and say, what events are they going to attend? Where are they going to get value? So, I mean, that's one of the challenges as part of being the IADD right now is like, we want to be able to get higher operator attendance, because we know that when the operators attend and are part of the meetings, that the service companies and stuff will follow. But that's the thing, is we have to be able to provide an educational and valuable experience to the operators and give them a reason to be able to take time out of their day to be able to come to the event.
Yeah, that is a very hard challenge, I would suppose. So I don't interact with operators on a daily basis, because since we do a lot of engineering projects, it's generally with service companies that are trying to meet some kind of need. So I have no ideas off the top of my head how you would pull in an operator. I mean, how do you do it, I suppose?
It's something that I think that not just myself, but all organizations have that challenge of being able to and it's not just for conferences, right? I mean, it's for any kind of marketing or sales effort, is to be able to dangle a carrot out there that gets the operators to come out of their little shell bubble, whatever you want to call it, cave, to get them to be able to come out and go, oh, I'm interested in learning about this, or I'm interested in partaking in this. Like, because if you look at it, think of an operator as, obviously they're a company, but look at them as far as their business model, right? If you are a Pioneer per se, or Callan, or any non-publicly traded, well, those are all publicly traded. Think of a non-publicly traded
Right.
operator, right? They have no reason to have a website. They have no reason to put their name on a billboard. Nothing. Like, they sell to a pipeline, right? They don't sell, they don't need to have a marketing department, right? And I actually had this discussion with the high level HR person at Marathon. I was like, your marketing, all you're doing is you're marketing for personnel and talent. Like, otherwise, you have zero reason. So, like, if you do have educational events, SPE events, whatever the case may be, right? In other industries, you're going to have, the top of the food chain. You're going to have Apple, Microsoft, Oracle, or any of these other like big companies. You're going to have them attending events because they also have customers. They want to be, they want to be able to put their product out there. They want to be able to sponsor these events so that people can see them. If you're not publicly traded, so like Oxy, they're publicly traded. That's why they have a billboard at Minute Maid Stadium, right? With their big name back there. But if you're not a publicly traded operator, it is like in Texas, where we have over 365 active operators in Texas, and a lot of them are very small. If you're a small operator, it's like a lot of these guys don't have websites. They don't have LinkedIn pages. They don't have anything that a normal company would have, right? So what's their reason for even attending stuff? If they already have a baked-in client, they know at $55 a barrel, they can put something in a pipeline. I don't know what the numbers are, but like they don't need to attend. They don't need to be able to put their name out there, right? Other organizations, other companies do. They need to be able to do that marketing. So that's where the dynamic of selling and marketing and conferences with operators really changes, because it's like, they don't have the normal reasons to be able to come out. Their HR department does, to be able to hire people. But other than that, they could just lock up the doors, turn off the website, and just be like, yeah, we're good. We're just going to go with it the way it is. So to be able to get them to come out, you have to have something intriguing, something that's actually going to bring value back to that organization. But then that starts the whole sales cycle thing over. It's like, okay, what can we do that provides them value?
Yeah. What is it that'll bring them out, right? You have the carrot, but then you have to follow up with actual value. You can't bring them out and then, once they're out there, just burn them. You got to
Right.
actually give them what they're looking for. And so I think that's probably, you're right. I mean, whoever can find that has got themselves a winner of a conference, I think.
It'd be a winner of a conference, but you got to see the thing. It's like, are we doing for completions? Are we doing for drilling? Are we doing for production? What different departments are we focused in on? So different types of people are going to come out for different reasons. But yeah, if somebody can really be able to figure out what it is that's going to get these people to come out and be able to provide value and be able to do it on an annual basis, and then allow then service companies and people that sell to them to also be there and not attack them like buzzards, because that's the other thing. You'll go to these things and you'll see operators there and everybody's attack. It's like these guys are getting pitched to all the time. I mean, just think about the number of service companies that are at a rig site at one time. All of those companies had to pitch that drilling engineer or that company at some point in time. And they've all got 10 competitors, and those 10 competitors are trying to pitch as well.
Yeah, be cool. That's the message I would send, is be cool. Also, I think we're running short on time for today, but I do think we did identify some points. Are trade shows worth it? Yes, with the asterisk next to it that if you're just now getting into trade shows for oil and gas, try one of the smaller shows first, because you can get that high value for lower cost. Kind of like an all-in one-day event, like the IDD event that happened back in June. That was great value, and if you've got the budget for it, try some of the international shows and see how that goes for you.
Well, I like your suggestion of going to the show as an attendee first to walk it and see what it's like before committing to it.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. Make sure you're still around for the next year.
Yeah.
Save some of
That'll
that.
be a good test.
Save some of that budget. I mean, if you're doing marketing stuff, just start doing social media first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do that first.
Targeted.
Yeah. If you can win on social media, then go win in person.
Yeah. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening and watching. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Ken. I miss you.
Thank you.